What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I am finally bringing you a review of the 2023 Lucid Air. This is a car that I have been so excited to drive for over a year now, and I'm finally getting to put it on video for you. And before we get into the Lucid Air, you're probably wondering, what is Lucid? I know a few people that don't know that much about cars ask me, well, what's the brand? Lucid is the brand, Air is the model. So Lucid is a brand new all-electric car company. It was started by a guy named Peter Rawlinson, who you might know as the guy who engineered the Tesla Model S. You know, the car that you see literally everywhere now. He's the guy that did all of the important engineering and design work for that car. So he started his own car company, taking everything he learned from making the Model S to make a car that he believes is even superior to the Tesla. So let's see if that is actually true and Peter has done his work here. Let's start with the styling, because Tesla's styling hasn't really changed much in the past decade since Rawlinson left the company, but this Lucid Air is absolutely gorgeous. I will tell you that I have never gotten this much attention driving a silver sedan in my entire life. I've gotten supercars that get this much attention, but not a silver four-door sedan. I love this front area. We've got this one connected taillight bar. This whole thing lights up at night in a gorgeous way. It's absolutely cool. You can totally tell that a Lucid Air is behind you just by the lighting signature alone. You have this kind of silver unibrow that somehow works. It looks like a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. It is just so cool. You can see the lighting there, how that single LED strip kind of runs along the entire length of the car. And even the words Lucid light up at night, which is super duper cool. You can replace, if you don't like this kind of silver chrome effect, you can get a stealth package that is going to kind of black out everything and create a very different look on this car. So we've got this kind of grayish silver finish, which really blends in with the roof here. But you'll notice that these side blade things here, it almost looks kind of like a roof canopy, is sort of a different silver. That is going to contrast a lot more if you get like a red or a black or something like that. It kind of blends in here, but it's really cool to see that this kind of roof canopy just kind of sits there. We also have like a full glass roof. The lower end versions of the Air are just going to have a solid roof, which is really cool. We've also got these 21-inch, I believe they're called Aero Blade wheels. There's a bunch of different Aero wheels. So on the Grand Touring model, which is what we're driving here, you're gonna get a 19-inch wheel as the base wheel. That is going to get you your max range of over 500 miles. So if you want the best range, you're gonna have to get the 19-inch wheels. If you step up to the 20s or these $2,000 21-inch wheels, your range is gonna drop to about 446 miles. That is due to the tire size, the wheel size, obviously, and the actual tire that you get. So this is a Pirelli P0 tire. You're gonna get a Michelin Pilot Sport EV on the 20, and then you're gonna get like a more low rolling resistance tire on the base 19-inch wheel. So something to consider. We've got these door handles. You might have just seen them pop out of the bodywork when you walk up to the key. Otherwise, they are going to be flush with the body. We do have soft closed doors on this car as well. And then you're going to see back here, you've got your model designation. So you have Lucid Air right here, and then we have Grand Touring because that's the model that we have here. And you're going to notice this rather interesting rear end. So the shape of this rear end is rather unique. You can see how the trunk is kind of cut out in a weird way. It's not my favorite aspect of the car, but it definitely is unique. There's not a lot of other sedans that look like this. The taillights are also really cool. They have kind of like a three-dimensional effect a la the Lexus LC500, which I think is really cool. It's a little hard to see during the day, but overall, I think this is a super pretty sedan. And with the number of Teslas that I see on the road these days, I saw 4 of them on my way to film this video. they don't get the attention like they used to, but if you drive a Lucid Air, even in somewhere like Los Angeles where there's a ton of EVs, you will get attention. Now, before we talk about the trunk space and I take you inside the Lucid Air, I do want to talk about build quality, because this is an area where I have been so critical of Tesla. Tesla sells almost 1 million cars per year, and their build quality has gotten a little bit better over the years, but there is still a lot of defects for such an expensive car. So I'm gonna show you some of the things I've noticed here on the Lucid Air. We've got some trim pieces that, I don't know if it's just by design, but they don't look like they line up perfectly to me. We've got this weird thing here on the door, and it is on the passenger side as well. It's this little foam piece. I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be there, but it is on both sides. Like, that just kind of looks a little cheap to me. You can see here's another area where this just doesn't like sit flush to me with the rest of the back of the door here, this little black trim piece. You can see that just some of these things, it lines up really nice there, not as nice on that side, little itty bitty things. But I do want you to consider that this is a car company that only sold about 7,100 cars last year in 2022. To put that into perspective, just the Porsche Taycan, just the Taycan outsold the entire Lucid brand, which I know is only just the Air right now, but that's how small Lucid is as a company right now. Hopefully, as they grow, they will iron some of these issues out. All right, so now let's talk about the trunk space in the Lucid Air. So this is a conventional trunk. It is not a hatchback. You can see that because the tail lights are up on the deck lid here, they had to put these additional ones here for safety and compliance reasons, which is kind of interesting. So the trunk is actually quite big. It's over 22 cubic feet. You can see that the opening is extremely wide. It spans like the entire width of the car, which is something I've really never seen before. I've really never seen like a trunk shape like this, I think, ever. And it does go pretty deep in there as well. And you can fold these down to get a pass through into the cabin as well. But the opening itself is not very tall, so it just kind of depends on what kind of objects you're putting in there. You can fit kind of long, low objects, but if you have something tall, it might not fit in this kind of gap. Just saying, it's a little bit interesting the way they've decided to design this trunk. Now we do have, because this car is electric, some storage underneath the floor, and you can see that goes quite deep. There's a lot of storage under there, which is quite nice. We have a little bit of storage over here on the side as well. And then this is where you're gonna get your charging cable. It's gonna come in this nice little bag that perfectly sits on this side. But the nice thing about this being an electric car is you don't just get a rear trunk. So in addition to the trunk that you get in the back, because there's no engine under the hood, you also get a frunk. I know that Tesla owners are enamored with their frunks, but I absolutely love this one. As you just saw, you can open it via power. You can do it from the screen or from the key fob or from the app. And it opens up via power. It also closes via power, which is super nice and convenient. You don't have to pull a latch. You don't have to pop it and then get your hands dirty by dealing with a latch. So that is really luxurious and nice. I wish more EV makers would copy that. And you get 10 cubic feet in here, which is like a really big amount. It's almost as big as like the actual trunk of a Hyundai Ioniq 6. You can see that it is this really wide opening here, just like in the trunk as well. Lucid has made it so big because their motors are so small that they've been able to push this frunk out wide. I honestly think you could fit a set of golf clubs in here, maybe a smaller bag, but I do think golf clubs would fit back here. And just like in the trunk, you get a deeper area here. Look how deep that goes. That is just a really, really nice front storage area. And because of how easy it is to both open and lower this frunk, I know a lot of EVs make it kind of tough to either open or close it. I think I would actually use the storage in here because it's so easy to access. All right, so now it's finally time to check out the interior of the Lucid Air. And if you needed a reason to consider one of these over a Tesla and it hasn't hit you yet, it's about to, because this is an interior that feels leaps and bounds over anything you're gonna get from Tesla. Honestly, it's much closer to what you're gonna get from BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. Let me go ahead and turn off the radio because that's gonna come on automatically. gonna go ahead and shut it. And just like a Tesla, there is no start stop button that you have to hit. The car is just automatically on from the minute you get in. So we've got this really neat looking steering wheel here with these kind of very stylized controls here. We've got our controls for the radio and such here. We've got our drive pilot controls here. That is going to be for our semi-autonomous driving functions. They call it Dream Drive or Dream Drive Pro here. And you're going to see we have this big screen here. It's not quite as big as Tesla's like single screen, but I think the combined screen real estate is really good here. So we've got 34-inch 5K glass cockpit is what this is called, this sort of curved wraparound display that looks like it's floating on the dashboard, which is a really cool feature here. You've got this screen here on the left that's going to control just your basic lock and unlock of the car. You can open up the charge port. You've got your front and rear defrosters. You've got your high beams. You've got your wiper controls, and you can open up the frunk from here as well. So just basic car controls. This is kind of just your basic speedometer panel. You have your trip display. You can also have map information right here as well. And then over here is where your main infotainment is going to live. You can pull up your map, which as you can see has satellite imagery, which is really nice. I've noticed, I thought this screen was working really well in the first day or two that I had it, but I've noticed that when you go into music, it can sometimes cause it to get a little bit laggy. Sometimes it's laggy, other times it's not. And then you have this lower screen down here called the pilot panel, which is a really, really cool feature. Let me go ahead and move my water bottle out of the way so you can kind of see this better. You can trade off what's on the screen here, which is really neat. So if I go onto the map, you can sort of pull up stuff. So as you can see, it kind of goes down. Look at that. It's almost as if these are two different screens, but it almost counts them as if it's one. You can see I've been having some issues with the trade-off there. It was working really smoothly. There you go. So that worked really smoothly. Go ahead and toss that back up there. And then it pulls up. Yeah, sometimes it gets a little glitchy. So I will say, I've had a little bit of issues with this. My buddy Sophion from Redline Reviews said he had much more issues with this than I have, but I am starting to notice that it is not as flawless as it was the first day or two that I used it. Now down here we can control our drive modes. We have smooth, swift, and sprint. You need to confirm that you want sprint mode because that's going to engage the full brunt of this car. We can control all of the different openings, the frunk, the trunk. We've got sun blinds that I'll show you in the back, lock, unlock, and all of that stuff. We've got our seat controls, of which there are many that you can control. We do have regular controls on the side of the seat though, so you don't have to do it all on the touchscreen. Things like the steering wheel though, and the mirrors are controlled here on the touchscreen, as is the glove box. We've got massage seats. I want to talk to you about these. These might be the best massage seats I've ever used in a car. They have these little like nodes that kind of massage you all over, including on your buttocks area, and it vibrates as well, which you might not like, but not all of the modes have the vibration. We've got some really nice ambient light themes here as well, and I love that if I hold this button, this is going to fold away, and now we've got this huge deep storage area here, which is quite nice. And then we also have this really nice storage area here. You can see if I lift up this storage area here under the armrest, we've got more storage in there. This is a wireless charging pad that works really well. We've got this awesome cable wrap area if you do want to use wired charging. And then we have our two cup holders as well. And the materials in here are absolutely stunning. We've got wood, we've got suede, we've got leather, we've got fabric. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful place to be. And you've probably already seen this before, but just look at this. The entire roof leading up to about here is glass. So the windshield kind of goes all the way up here, giving you this big, beautiful, expansive view of the road that I absolutely love. It is so cool. And just before we check out the rear seats, I want to show you the 360-degree camera that's going to come as part of the Dream Drive Pro package. So we've got our regular backup camera up here. You can also have a front view camera. You can just switch between them. But the 360 camera is one of the most crystal clear that I've ever seen. You can also change the different angles, you know, which we've seen before. This is not like completely new. I have seen this before, but I'm going to go ahead and reverse towards the wall here. Let me see if I bring it back. Let's see, I want to put it back into its normal configuration because I want to show you one of the coolest things that it does here. Look at that. Do you see that at the bottom? It's going to tell me how many inches I am from hitting that parking garage wall. And see, I'm getting really close now. I'm only 22 inches away. I've never seen that before on a car, but I think I'm going to soon because that is such smart integration, and I got to imagine that the other OEMs are going to copy that because it is so helpful. All right, so now let's check out the back seat of the Lucid Air, which is actually a phenomenal place to sit. I think the numbers don't quite do it justice because I think Lucid only quotes like 36.5 inches of legroom, but look at how much space I have back here. The way that they have managed to make this car, this is only the same length as a BMW 5 Series, but I've got Mercedes S-Class levels of space back here, BMW 7 Series levels of space. I can stretch out. There's just this very small hump here. I believe this actually goes away if you just get the touring model with the smaller motors. But tons of space back here to sprawl out. I love the materials on the back of this seat. We've got our own sunshades here on the side that are power operated. You can control those on this little screen. I can go ahead and push this to extend the rear sunshade as well, which is quite nice. You want as much shade as you can because this glass roof does let in quite a bit of light, even though it does have a nice tint on it. So I do like that you can kind of shade the rest of the cabin back here. We do have heated seats as well. You can go ahead and turn on the outer heated seats, or this screen will actually allow you to turn on the middle heated seats. So if you go into climate, and then you go into seats, you can see there are actually 3 heated seat zones. We've got little USB-C ports on this little door, which opens up and you have a little storage area. Past reviewer's kid left me some M&M minis. Unfortunately, it's empty. But I absolutely love how spacious and airy it feels back here. I would not be upset riding in this back seat for a long period of time. All right, so now let's get the Lucid Air Grand Touring out on the road. And I'm going to start by talking to you about what I think is probably the least impressive part about this car, the performance. And don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not saying that the performance isn't impressive. It is stupendously impressive. However, all EVs are impressive. They're all extremely quick. They all do 3-second 0 to 60 times. So I'm just not impressed with that so much anymore because I've seen it done a million times. But nevertheless, I'm going to show you how quick this car is. We're going to go ahead and put it into sprint mode. Give that little additional confirmation because boy, oh boy, does it change the character of this car. Launch control, super easy to do. Foot on the brake, foot on the accelerator. You get this little blue bear letting you know that launch control is active, and we're gonna go. Ready? All right, launch mode activated. Oh, oh, Jesus, oh God. Oh my God, you saw how much my head slammed into the headrest there. I've done this a bunch of times and you're still never ready for the punch that this thing packs. This is 819 horsepower from dual motors, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. If I had a long enough road and I kept the accelerator pinned, I would do the quarter mile in 10.7 seconds at 127 miles an hour. Remember in Fast and Furious, the first one, where Brian owns Dom a 10-second car? He literally could have just walked into a Lucid showroom, ordered an Air Grand Touring, not even the fastest Air Grand Touring, and walked out with a 10-second car. That is absolutely baffling to me. And no, you don't need a 2JZ, you don't need all this tuning, you just need 2 electric motors. That is absolutely crazy to me. And the crazier part is that there are going to be 2 models that are quicker than this. So you can get the Grand Touring Performance, which is also a dual motor. That's going to boost the power up to 1 1,050 horsepower, drops your 0 to 60 time to just 2.6 seconds, and you'll do the quarter mile in 10.1 seconds at 143 miles an hour. This is a stock luxury sedan with massage seats and 360 camera and no crazy V8 supercharged engine running E85. Absolutely crazy. I got to do that launch control again. It's absolutely savage. All right, so we're still in sprint mode. Super easy launch control. Foot on the brake, foot on the accelerator. Blue Bear. You could hear the electric motors just going. I like that they haven't created like any artificial sound on this. You just have the natural whir of the motors just absolutely crazy. You can tell that it almost struggles for grip sometimes, like if the road surface isn't exactly perfect, but you just get off the line so darn fast. And believe it or not, they're doing an even crazier version of this car called the Sapphire, which I think is an awesome name for a car. That's going to have over 1,200 horsepower. It's going to do 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. We don't know exactly like how quick it will be. It'll go over 200 miles an hour, and it'll run the quarter mile in like 9.1 seconds. Craziness. So I honestly don't think you need that level of performance unless, you know, you really want it. I guess whatever. I get bored of that level of speed pretty quickly, because like how many times can you just do a launch control that's that quick over and over and over again? I can tell you that in preparation for this video, I did the launch control like 3 times, and I'm already starting to like really feel it, and I don't really want to do it again because it's just too crazy. It hurts your face, it hurts your head, it just does something to you. Honestly, I'd be fine with one of the lower end Lucid models. So we've got a couple of models, they're all on sale now. So you've got the Pure model, which you can get as a single motor, or right now they're only selling the dual motor version. So that's 480 horsepower, and you get a 410 mile range, which is really not bad. That's the base car, remember, and that's pretty much what like a Tesla Model S is gonna do. So even the base Lucid Air does just really good range with a 92 kilowatt hour pack, which is big, but not really like even that big. There's a Touring above that. So between the Pure and this Grand Touring, there's a regular Touring, 620 horsepower. I think that's absolutely fine as well. Same 92 kilowatt hour battery, but you're gonna get 425 miles of range. So I think that's really nice as well. So I would honestly look at both of those if I was considering a Lucid, because honestly, I love the 819 horsepower here, but I just don't think it's strictly necessary. Now, the one reason I would consider this Grand Touring model though is because of the range. And now we're gonna start talking about the part that I really find impressive about the Lucid Air. Not the performance, the efficiency. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of sprint mode. We're gonna skip past Swift, which is the middle mode, and we're gonna go to smooth. This is going to dial back my power, but is going to make me drive a little bit more efficiently. So in this model, the Grand Touring, we've got a 112 kilowatt hour pack. So that's like the biggest pack that you can get right now. It actually goes up to 118 kilowatt hours if you opt for the performance model. Now this has a 900 volt charging architecture. Now we hear a lot about 800 volt charging architectures and how they're so great for charging speeds. Well, this outdoes those with 900 volts. And what that means is you're gonna get 300 kilowatt charge speeds in this top Air model. You're going to recharge in terms of miles per minute. You're gonna get about 20 miles of range in 1 minute of charging. In other words, you can get 300 miles, which is what most cars will do on their full charge, in just about 20 minutes. That is game changing. That is revolutionary. And if the charger you're on can actually deliver those speeds, this is going to change. I hear so many people on the internet go, I won't buy an electric car until it goes 500 miles on a charge and I can stop for 10 minutes and blah, blah. That's what this is. That's what this is. This is the future, but you can just go in and buy it. It's absolutely crazy. When every EV can charge and travel as far as this, I don't think anybody will have a problem with EVs anymore. So how is Lucid getting that level of efficiency? Well, we've got an extremely low drag coefficient. The body of this car is so slippery. We've got a 0.21 drag coefficient. It's a little unclear, but I believe that is still the most slippery car that you can buy today. And we've got really efficient and really small electric motors that are just more efficient than what other companies like Tesla are using, which means we're gonna get 4.6 miles per kilowatt hour in that battery. I don't think there's anything else on the market right now that comes even close to that. Maybe the rear motor Hyundai Ioniq 6, but we're talking about a car with 225 horsepower. So I think it's still a little bit more impressive that Lucid has managed to get that number with 2 motors and over 800 horsepower. So the charge speed, I told you, is amazing, but the range is what really gets me. So this version, this Grand Touring model, is going to go over 500 miles on a charge. Over 500 miles, 516, I believe it is. That is an absolutely crazy number. I actually hopped in this car, they dropped it off, it came all the way up from Miami, and it had 85% battery, and it was still showing me 400 miles of charge. I have not gotten any EV over about 350, so to see 400 and not even have a full charge, just a game changer. Range anxiety just doesn't exist. Now, I should mention that if you get the 20-inch wheels or 21-inch wheels or the 20-inch wheels, either one of them is going to knock your range down to 469 miles, which is what I have on this exact car I'm driving. But 469 miles is still incredible, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be willing to make that trade-off. It's $2,000 as well for these 21-inch wheels. I personally would just take the better ride of the 19-inch wheels and have that amazing range, but you might like how the 21-inch wheels look. And it's also worth noting that if you get the Performance GT, which only comes on 21s, you can't get 19s or 20s on that, you're gonna go 446 miles on a charge. That is still incredibly impressive to me, given the level of performance that that car has. And the AC charging, the home charging that you're gonna do, is also incredibly impressive. This car has an onboard charger that will let you charge at a peak of 19.2 kilowatts, which honestly, that's impressive and everything, but I don't think a lot of people are gonna have a charger at their house that's gonna deliver that kind of speeds. But if you do have one, you'll get about 80 miles per hour of charging, which is absolutely crazy to think about on just a regular home charger. And if all of that wasn't impressive enough, you also get promotional free charging from Electrify America. I think at this price point, Lucid kind of owes it to you to pay for some of your electricity. It kind of depends on the model, so be sure to check before you order, but it ranges anywhere from a year up to 3 years. And if the performance and the range weren't impressive enough, the way this car drives is just stupendous. I honestly thought when I first got in it that this thing had air suspension. I mean, it's called the Lucid Air after all, and it glides on the road like a cloud, but then I looked it up and it's just really, really good adaptive dampers. That's all it has, not air or anything crazy like that, but it rides so beautifully. Obviously, the power is amazing. If I go ahead and put it into Swift mode, the second fastest setting, it can pin you back to your seat wherever. It's very quiet. The steering is what I'm most impressed with, because I've driven a lot of Teslas and none of them have ever really felt like a true driver's car to me. But in this, if I decide to drive fast, I've got 6-piston calipers up front. Whew! I've got sticky Michelin tires. Ooh, I've got great steering. Ooh. I don't know, this is a really, really fun, dynamic car to drive. We're gonna toss it into the corner here. Definitely got some body roll here. This is not the track-focused Sapphire model, but just, I can feel the control through the wheel. I don't feel like I don't know what the front end is up to. Whew. It's just a really balanced, cohesive drive. And I feel like Lucid just really knew what they were doing when they engineered this car, and it shows. We do have Dream Drive Pro, which is Lucid's semi-autonomous driving technology. I have used it on the highway. It's a really good system. It does a lot of the steering assist for you. It is a hands-on system. There's no hands-off capability, at least not yet. It's $10,000 for Dream Drive Pro, which is gonna get you that awesome surround view monitor, which I love. You're gonna get the highway assist, which has the stronger like steering assist on the highway. And you're gonna get what they call future ready for semi-autonomous self-driving. So what Lucid is promising is that you're gonna be able to do level 3 autonomous driving, which means you won't have to look at the road and you won't have to have your hands on the wheel. Mercedes is the only company that currently offers that right now, at least in the United States. And it's just a promise right now. I don't know if you can even get a Lucid right now that doesn't have that, but for $10,000 for kind of just a promise, I don't know if I love it that much. All right, so that was the Lucid Air. I think this is, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, the best electric car that I have ever driven. It is such a cohesive product. It is so fast. The range is top notch. It is what every electric car is going to need to be if we are ever going to fully transition from gasoline. That being said, I will say some of the build quality issues are kind of unacceptable at this price range, but with how new Lucid is as a company and how we've seen Tesla grow as a company, I do believe that they will iron out a lot of those problems in time, and you are getting in very early on sort of the ground level if you're buying one of these cars now. Now, there is one small problem that I will say with this Lucid Air that would make me hesitate on buying one, or maybe make you hesitate, and that is the price. It is just a very expensive car right now. Lucid is not in the business of selling like a cheap commuter electric car. Maybe their third model after the Gravity SUV will be like a cheap Model 3 rival, but at least until now, Lucid is a full-on luxury brand. So let's talk through the Air lineup and what you're going to pay for one of these. If you want the base pure model with rear-wheel drive, that's $87,400. I think that's right on the edge of like semi-attainable. I know that is still a ton of money, but it's not like outside of the realm of possibility that you might be able to afford one of those one day. Now, unfortunately, that's for the single motor that isn't on sale just yet, so you'll have to add about $5,000 to that price for all-wheel drive. Stepping up to the touring model with its bigger range, that's going to be $107,400. Now that is right about where the Tesla Model S lives. The Model S is anywhere from $85,000 to $105,000 for a Plaid, not including options. So if you're looking just to stay as cheap and as close to a Tesla Model S as possible, you're gonna wanna be looking at the Pure or the Touring. Now let's talk about this Grand Touring that I've been driving. At base, you're looking at $138,000. Sorry, I wish it was $38,000. And it's about $154,000 as tested with the wheels and the Dream Drive and the extra stereo. That is significantly more than a Tesla Model S Plaid, but as I showed you, I think this is a much more luxurious car. I would probably just keep like a base Grand Touring, maybe get like one or two options and keep it close to that $138,000 mark. If you want the performance model with that insane 1,050 horsepower, that's gonna be just under $180,000. It starts at $179,000, which is a ton of money. And then they're coming out with that Sapphire model in the summer. That's gonna be a whopping $249,000. That is a ton of money to spend on an electric car, but if you want the fastest accelerating car in the world, I think, I mean, maybe like the Rimats and some other multi-million-dollar cars might be able to beat it, but this is a luxury sedan that you can fit 5 people in. So it's absolutely crazy to think that it has that level of performance. And I think if I were in the market for an electric car right now and I had all the money in the world, I think the Lucid Air would be my #1 choice right now. I really hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2023 Lucid Air. For more videos like it, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. And if you want to read more about the Lucid Air, be sure to check out carbuzz.com. I'll see you next time.